So it looks like the former 40-40 man and one half of the Bash brothers, Jose Canseco, has made some damning claims about members of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Also, have the Cardinals just signed the next Javier Baez? Plus, I have brand new CBA updates to report on. Now, before we get into all of that, guys, I'm going to need you to do a couple of things for me, please. You know the drill. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Next, go over, smash that red button, go subscribe. That's the best way to show your support here on the channel. Next, go over, ring that bell, get notified so you know when exactly I am pumping out great baseball content. And finally, if you want to get active, leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. I would love to hear them. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. So with topic number one, it looks like the MLB and the Players Union are one step closer to making good on this 2022 baseball season. And an article from BleacherReport.com has all the details. Now, this article from Bleacher Report answers all of the big questions regarding spring training, the regular season, and what is left for these two sides to discuss. First, let's start with spring training. The question is spring training in jeopardy? They say yes, at least the start of it anyway. Pitchers and catchers are due to report to Florida and Arizona in mid-February, with exhibition games slated to start on February 26. So in order to avoid delaying either, MLB and the MLBPA will have to strike a deal in the very near future. Now, there aren't any hard deadlines, but Mike Axisa of CBSSports.com made good cases for February the 1st and February the 7th as soft ones. If there is no new CBA by the former, pitchers and catchers likely won't report on time. And if not by the latter, the exhibition season will likely get delayed. Now, this is what the article has to say in regards to the regular season. The question is, does this mean I should be also worried about the regular season? They say, well, not yet, but you shouldn't not be worried either. It says, as much as MLB would surely prefer to have a full slate of spring training games, because it's a big business, you know, the players could probably get away with 3 weeks worth of games. That would be possible if there's a delay by late February or even early March. While it will stand to reason that neither side wants the negotiations to drag on long enough to put regular season games in jeopardy, Ben Nicholson-Smith of Sportsnet reported on Monday that the league isn't altogether deterred by that possibility. This is what Smith had to say on Twitter. He said, quote, heard MLB owners gave mixed signals about timing of the 2022 season. On the other hand, they say they're hoping to reach a deal on time for a full season. But in today's session, they also indicated they're willing to lose games. That was a first for these talks. Finally, the portion about the regular season ends off like this. Though MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred's office didn't characterize it as such, Evan Drellick of The Athletic reported that some players took this as a threat. And the final big question is, what's left for these two sides to discuss? Well, you know, just the sport's entire economic system, no big deal. They say it's easy to get cynical, i.e. millionaires versus billionaires, towards how the league and union endeavor to slice up baseball's multi-billion-dollar pie. Yet, there's an underdog in this fight. The players, always, to a certain extent, but especially now, as they seek to regain the bigger slices they enjoyed in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Knowing this, it's extraordinary. The first major concession in the last round of negotiations actually came from the union. The union is usually standing firm on, what they want. And the article explains what exactly they coincided. It says, as Drellick reported, the union is no longer advocating for an age-based free agency system. That's really big. The default timeline to free agency has consisted of 6 years, split between 3 in which players are only guaranteed the league minimum and 3 in which they can appeal for higher salaries via arbitration. Basically, 3 years of drastic underpayment followed by 3 years of more appropriate yet still largely inadequate pay. So what does this mean exactly? Well, it means that teams could still technically manipulate an up-and-coming player's service time like the Cubs did with Kris Bryant. Now, that would still look bad on MLB's part because this means MLB would still technically allow teams to manipulate certain players' service time if they don't agree on this new age-based system. But let's be honest, it only looks bad if the player they manipulated turns out to be a star in the following 3 to 5 years. And honestly, that doesn't happen too often per organization. Maybe once or twice every 10 years. Most organizations don't pump out superstars on a yearly basis. So it's gonna look bad when another Kris Bryant or Bryce Harper or Tatis or Acuna Jr. comes along, which will happen, but not as frequent enough per organization. But that's what could happen in the near future, and that's what MLB is still allowing to happen and still allowing the organizations to exercise. And finally, the last main question in this article is, why did the union coincide at all? Well, it says, quote, contrary to the owners, it could be that the players are simply less willing to sacrifice regular season games. Now, this makes sense because remember, they don't get paid for spring training. So basically, they're playing games for free. And the owners are benefiting profit-wise when they play those games because fans show up, they want to go down to spring training. You have people flock to Florida and Arizona to see the Tigers, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Giants, the Mariners, whatever. The owners are making full profit during spring training, the players are not, and if the players aren't really getting the intended value out of spring training, which is getting in shape, getting your timing back, getting acclimated to the requirements of the sport, then if I was them, I wouldn't care about spring training either. And that's why they're willing to give up spring training games but not regular season games, because remember, they only get paid through opening day until the end of the season. They don't get paid at all for spring training. So with topic number 2, it looks like Jose Canseco has made some damning claims that aim to exploit the past misjudgment of the writers and expose those who have used PEDs but are already in the Hall of Fame. And an article from Fansided.com has this story, as it says, quote, PEDs in the Hall of Fame have been a hot topic over the past few days, with David Ortiz having been inducted into the Hall under his own cloud of suspicion, while Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens were left out. Questions about whether or not PED users should be inducted have surfaced once more. And once again, this is a topic where Jose Canseco has reappeared. It's believed that there are already PED users in the Hall of Fame. Canseco claims that this is the case, as in an interview last year, he said he personally injected some of those players himself. Unlike previous times when Canseco stated that he knows who used PEDs, he is keeping quiet. He said that part of his life is over now, but that there are, quote, probably 10 players in the Hall that were using those substances to gain an edge. Now, real quick, do I believe that this claim from Jose Canseco is 100% legitimate? The answer to that is no. However, I will say, if there is one person I would believe the most when it comes to calling out unknown PED users in the sport of baseball, it would be Jose Canseco. Simply because he is the only player who has publicly come out and admitted his own use of steroids. Because if a guy like Barry Bonds said this, and of course he is one who time and time again denied his own use of steroids, then this would be a pretty hypocritical claim coming from him, or anyone else other than Jose Canseco. So I would love to hear your comments down below regarding these claims that Jose Canseco has made when it comes to members of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Finally, topic number 3 is in regard to the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, there have been reports out there that the St. Louis Cardinals have just signed an international prospect that have made some think he is a reincarnation of the current Tiger shortstop, Javier Baez. And once again, Fansided.com has the information regarding this story, as it says, quote, "The St. Louis Cardinals did well in international free agency, like really well, and it's possible they might have just landed a potential star. Their prize signing was shortstop Jonathan Mejia, who MLB Pipeline rated as their number 14 international prospect, and MLB.com described Mejia, 16, as an infielder who, quote, patterns his game after Javier Baez. Of course, that does not mean that Mejia will be the next Javier Baez, but it indicates the type of player that he believes he is, and their $2 million signing bonus indicates that the Cardinals certainly believe in him. After all, it's the largest bonus that the organization has given out to a player that young. Expectations, at least for now, should be tempered for Mejia. He's at least a few years away, perhaps even more, from debuting in the majors, and needs to grow into his 6'100" in 65-pound frame. But a position that the Cardinals desperately need internal depth is at shortstop. Aldi Young and Mundo Sosa have not shown they can be long-term answers, and potentially signing their future at the position for just $2 million could prove to be a steal. So look, do I think that this guy's the next Javier Baez? Honestly, I have no idea. But the one thing I do know is that the Cardinals saw something in this kid that enticed them to dish out $2 million. Now, if that's not trusting your scouts, and probably more so showing your raw faith in the kid himself, then I don't know what is. So I'm not going to sit here and criticize the Cardinals' move or the kid, because frankly, I don't know who he is, and it would be just wrong for me to do that here in this video. So we'll have to see how this kid progresses in the Cardinals system, and hopefully in the long run, this kid does well, and the Cardinals hit on this move, and St. Louis gets a superstar shortstop who mirrors the likes of Carlos Correa, Francisco Lindor, and of course, Javier Baez. So that's all I got for today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts of all the topics we cover here today. Tell your friends about these videos and my channel. I would appreciate it. And as always, I will catch you guys later.